Now let us see some insight about the data architecture. It's a blueprint of a data environment. Each company or organization will have short-term, long-term goals and their own unique cultural and contextual requirements. For these requirements, we do require with different types of data, and all the data put together can be called the data architecture. The data architecture defines the process of capturing the data from the various sources that's required for our purpose. And if the data is not in the correct form, then it needs to be transformed to the required form. And finally, we need to uh, put some work on that and deliver usable data to the business users. So the data architecture also identifies the people who will consume that data and their unique requirements. So it's going to discuss about who are the consumers of this data, and also talks about their unique requirements, what exactly they are requiring, and the good data architecture flows from the right to the left. So usually when we talk about flow, we talk about data flow from the left to right, so from the source to the destination. But in this case, when you are trying to design the data architecture, it is better to start from the consumer. That's the destination who require this data, and look at their requirements and get back and see from what all sources this data can be made available, and while doing so what all transformations are required and all that. So this is a just in the reverse way, we just design it. We start from the right and move towards the left. This data architecture includes specifications used to describe the existing state of the system. Then it defines the requirements of the data, guides the way these available data are to be integrated, because they come from various sources and their formats may not match each other. So there has to be some way to integrate all these data, and then control the data assets as put forth in a data strategy. It's a major bridge between the business strategy and the technical execution. The business world knows only what they require. They have no idea about how to build the technical system to get the outcome. On the other side, the one who know how to build the system doesn't have any idea about the business. So there is a wide gap between the business world and the technical world. Technical world knows how to solve the problem, but business world knows what is the problem. And the business world cannot explain to the technical world how what is required, because the languages don't match. And on the other side, the technical world having no idea about the business domain cannot understand directly what is the requirement of the business world. So here the data architecture is a best bridge between these two worlds. So it makes a wonderful bridge between the two worlds. So it connects the business world with the technical execution world. So it can be shown diagrammatically. So there are various sources available for the data, and all the sources are in data from all the sources are integrated and put in the data warehouse. The data warehouse will contain the raw data and summary of the data, and overall the details of the data. That's a metadata. From this data, we can create the presentations. That's reporting tools are available to create the reports. Analysis tools are available to analyze the data and come with a analysis. And then there are data mining tools that are made available to dig into this big world of data and identify the exact pinpoint the exact position of the data which we are searching for. So there are some data mining tools which help us in simplifying the searching process. There are some analysis tools that will help us in analyzing the data and coming out with the results. And we can also have reports. So for that we have reporting tools. Now the journey, it's from the data creation to the customer. How does the journey takes place? So the data is created, and this data is available in multiple forms, multiple sources. So all this data get into pre-processing stage where all the data are aggregated, and anything which is not useful for the current task are filtered out, and anything that's not in appropriate form are transformed. So this whole thing is converted, and then we made a uniform syntax and transferred to the next one where the data is ingested into our system. And while doing that, so we enrich our data through annotations, having appropriate labels and making statistical characterizations. And this data is dumped onto the persistent storage and is also made available for analyzing. And these analysis can be done by classification, artificial intelligence, machine learning, or insight generation. Various such tools are available for doing that. And final, the outcome is available to the user as a visual output. So it makes the customer or the client to understand the overall what information we wanted to provide at a very simplistic possible way. So that's a whole thing you can see in different colors. Yeah, there are three things. One in the green, we can see that's a uniform data syntax. So that's one used to maintain uniform syntax between the two worlds. That's the pre-processing world and the storage world. So that's the left side we have pre-processing world, on the right side we have storage and analysis world. So these have to be proper syntax has to be maintained. And then we have consistent semantic is required. So at the pre-processing, whatever semantic is used, the meanings are defined for data at the pre-processing stage. The same meanings have to be continued till the end. So consistency of the semantics is necessary. And the pre-processing and the enrichment stages, we have metadata constructs. So that's going to declare how the overall process is being done and so on. That's another way of defining the same thing. So the left side we have various sources possible. So one can be a first party data source where the data is being collected for our purpose, and there is a third party data source available. And this data sources, the data from these sources are fed to the data process where we have traditional ELT or ETL stages. ETL is a extract, transform, and load. So when the data is not in the proper form, we wanted. So we first extract the features from the data and then transform to the required form and finally load onto that. So that's one way. Other way is extract, load, and then transform. So we first extract the information, then load onto the next stage, and their transformation is done. So after loading, the transformation is done. So there are two ways. So event hubs are there, and we have streaming analytics. Then coming to the second part of that, there is a data, there is a raw storage available, and there are various other like data warehouse and all structured interactions are there in the data warehouse. Unstructured interaction we can have in the Hadoop clusters, or we can have simple raw storage. And on the bottom, we can see that there are master data that's about customer, about the product, about the content, about other issues. All they are interacting each other, and at the end, they are producing data visualization. It may be a standard reports, it may be scheduled reports, it may be guided analytics, it may be dash parts, then mobile BI, business intelligence, self-service business intelligence, or it can be data science where artificial intelligence or machine learning is used to extract the required information, and this can be coded in either R or Python or any such thing. Yeah, the same thing we can talk in one more way. That's data is being collected. This data collection may be the CRM, then or it can be ERP or from the databases or from files or APIs. Then we have ETL engine, extract, transform, and load engines that will integrate all these data into one form, and then that is stored onto the data warehouse. And in the data warehouse, we can have various data marts that depends on the applications. So instead of keeping all the data at one place, so you can classify that into smaller data marts so that the appropriate data mart may be used for getting the required information. And then the data from the storage is used to analyze. Yeah, various applications and business intelligence tools are used for analysis, and the analysis is available in the form of reports, dashboards, embedding, and that's distributed. And finally, we get data-driven decisions. So in all, what are we trying to say is the decisions are now taken, which depends on the data. So the overall structure of the system has modified instead of the earlier version where the whole system was designed. Now it is data driven, decisions are taken. So depending on the data, appropriate decisions are taken. So that's another way of talking the same thing. That's data architecture. So various forms we have just discussed. Many more things to follow. So please keep